My name is Majeda Khory. I am from Syria. I'm a human rights activist. I came to the UK in 2017 as a human rights activist to attend a fellowship in Scotland. Then I stayed here and seeked for asylum. Before that, I used to be an activist before in Syria, and I participated in a peaceful movement in 2011. Then I have been detained for 4 months in 2013 because of my political opinions and before of my human rights work back in Syria. I am one of the Syrian women who started this peaceful movement. We were living under the shadow of tyranny, have chosen to participate in the peaceful movement in Syria to demand the change of discrimination laws against women. This was one of the demands, added to many demands, which was the freedom at the first place, and demanding rights for all Syrians, especially the women. But these peaceful demonstrations were met with repression and arrest by Syrian government, the women as well as men. And as a woman, we used as pressure cards for political gains from all the participants. As a human rights activist or defender, I see that rights are indivisible. Like many Syrian women, I was arrested for 4 months because of my humanitarian and relief activists. And as a human rights defender, I was witness to many violations that affected Syrian women in the detention places. So I decided, after I have been released, to be part of the human rights group who are seek justice. The violation against Syrian women didn't stop, even when they become a refugee in many countries around the world. After I fled from Syria in 2016 to Lebanon, so I suffered from the discrimination against Syrians back in Lebanon, as many of the Syrian women, especially the women in the camps. I am a very independent and I'm a strong woman. I could face this discrimination, but the other Syrian women who really came from very poor background and they really didn't have a chance to defend themselves. So it was very hard for them. That's why I took this responsibility to document this violation against these women in the camps in Lebanon. Then when I came here, I decided to start my journey without my family, without my children. I left my family for 2 years after I left Syria. So they joined me here in 2018. But before that, it was very hard time for me. And the asylum process is very hard here in the UK. And there is many challenges I had to face and to did. So back to my activism as a Syrian human rights defender. So now I'm working very hard for especially Syrian women refugees. And I document all the violation against them. And we specifically working for the detainees women back in Syria. And we seek for justice in any place. And also for the former detainees who left Syria to Europe or to all countries around the world and still facing this hard integrate in the new societies because of the mental health bad situation they have it's from their detention time. So they left there because they faced many hard times in the detention places, like some of them rapes, torture, and they need really help in psychological side. So we're still doing this with the women. For me, because I had this experience before, I was always talking as a witness. I never talked as a victim or as a survivor. But now I find myself like need this after my family joined me and we have a stable life now. So that's why I started have this helping psychological. I mean, to pass this depression I have. I had very hard time during the pandemic as a Syrian refugee or as a refugee woman, single mom, because I'm living with my two boys financially, and because I worked hard to start my own business during the first 2 years when I just came to the UK. After that, when the pandemic started, I faced many challenges and my work stopped, and I have to have other job. And really, it was very hard for me, but I survived until now. I'm kept trying to survive. So I really want to say all the time that maybe I'm a strong woman, strong, independent woman. I can do this by myself. Even for me, it was very hard. So I always think about the vulnerable women who they can't face the hard words after the pandemic, and they came without their husbands, maybe, or partners, and especially in the camps around Syria and here as well. So in the International Women's Day, the justice we need back in our countries, we need justice for the women who are in detention places still with their children. Sometimes there is their children with them in the detention places in very bad circumstances. And also we recommended, or we try to work as a human rights organizations to have justice for the former detainees who will not be healing until they have this justice and the criminals go to prison and to have to go to the court. So this is my journey, and now I feel myself more stronger than before because I'm outside Syria, and really I took this responsibility to highlight this human rights issue back in Syria and what is the women now suffering inside Syria during the pandemic. Thank you.